Hi team, Mary here. I'm going to talk a little bit about deciding lunch hours, and this is especially pertinent both for front staff, but especially for our dental assistants. I know it can be really tough in a busy office to figure out when the best time to take your lunch break is, especially if doctor is scheduled all the way through the day and he doesn't have an open hour. So here's what I do, and here's how I expect you guys to decide how to take your lunches. First of all, we should be looking at it from the very beginning of the day and talking about lunches right away during huddle. We don't want to wait until we're too deep into the day and things have gotten crazy. Pre-planning is your best friend with lunches. Now, the one legal rule we have is that you can't work for more than 6 hours without taking a lunch break. That means you can't work 6 hours at the beginning of the day without taking a lunch break. Also, you can't end your lunch and then work more than 6 hours until you go home. So we do need to be counting the hours and timing that. But as you're aware, our work days aren't 12 hours, so it won't always be smack dab in the middle of the day. It'll often be closer to the beginning of the day than closer to the end. The reason we often choose a lunch hour that's closer to the beginning is that way you have a lot more opportunity at the end of the day to build your schedule, to do add-ons if somebody calls, and you just don't know the future. You don't know who's going to call our front staff and need a limited for a toothache. So if you've gotten your lunch out of the way, you're already ready to go and you can see whatever limiteds come on later in the day. If you haven't taken your lunch, you're really cornering us into not taking that patient because you're going to have to be on your lunch break when you could have taken it early. So in order to pick your lunch break, you're going to want to look at a couple things. You want to look for the earliest available time that works. Get it out of the way so you can see more patients if they call in at the end of the day. You want to count that there's 6 hours after, or there's not more than 6 hours before or after your lunch break because that'll require you to take a second break. You want to look for long appointments. If you can side book it with a long appointment while your coworker is helping doctor through maybe a crown prep or something like that, that's the ideal because those are much more consistent appointments with how long they run, who's needed there. With those short 30-minute appointments, if you're side booking, you're relying on that appointment going perfectly and the flip going perfectly to the next patient and nobody waiting and it running like butter on time. And while that's our goal, it's a lot harder to do that between 4 tiny appointments than it is with 1 large appointment. So look to put your lunch hour by a big appointment so you can slip out and you're not making anybody wait for you to come back. Do it as early in the day as you can to give yourself space in the second half of the day to breathe and to not miss a lunch if a limited gets added on. It also helps your front staff a lot. And communicate as a team. The other thing is look across the columns. Now, you should always have an assigned doctor that day unless you're the one float assistant, and you should be working with that doctor and know who you're with and know what appointments you're in. That helps you to schedule your day. That being said, if you're on a doctor schedule that's a little bit light, but you see the doctor over has a couple hours that are just wild. So many post-ops, so many limiteds, a lot of tiny appointments where you're turning and burning and churning, and they may need an extra set of hands. Look at that and say, maybe that's not the best hour to take my lunch break. I'm going to take it a little earlier so I am available to help flip a room or help my team out in a pinch. Now, yes, you're with your doctor and that is your primary focus and that is what you are responsible for, and I never want that to slip. But if you have some time, or maybe your co-assistant with that doctor is in a crown prep, and you find yourself with a little extra time, you could pop over and help flip through that difficult period. So the earlier the lunch, the better. Give yourself 6 hours and no more so that we're in the legal zone. And make sure you're looking for those longer appointments and those smart times to slip it in for. Thanks so much.